Hey guys, I got a brand new 12-inch disc sander. This is part number 43468, and this is from Harbor Freight. When it first came, it had a disc already attached, and it's just the pill and stick kind. And honestly, when I first was thinking about this, I was like, I can't even imagine having to take off that paper, scrape away all the crap, and then put on a new paper and do that process over and over again. But I do have this roll of Velcro that I use on my drum sander. So if you've ever had to change the hook or the Velcro on a drum sander, I buy this, and I'll put all this information in the description. But I buy this from Clean Spore, I believe is what the name of it is. So this is a 3-inch. It's a drum sander Velcro, and I'll show how that looks. I instead of using the peel and stick, which it was already attached on here, I'm going to show you exactly kind of the process of what I did in order to take off all the residue and crap that was on here. So what I first did is it has these knobs here. So this is just for the tabletop here to take it off. So I took off these knobs. I took off the tabletop. And then it has this cover. It looks like it's the dust collection cover, so it'll do a good job of collecting dust. So it has 2 screws here, so I took those off. And then all that was left was the sandpaper that was stuck to this disc here. So what I did there, using some gloves, I used some acetone, and then I took an old rag and just caked it on there, because you can see it was really sticky residue. And then I took one of these razors, and it's nice and sharp. You can fix the razor on there so the razor doesn't fall off. You could also maybe use one of these little plastic razors. Just what I was afraid of on these plastic ones is it is plastic, and if I was putting a lot of force, I just didn't want that razor to come off. But I'm sure it can work. So what I did is I took off the paper, and the way I took off the paper, and I'll show you. Sorry, if you can hear me, hopefully you can, and I hope to have a good position of the camera here. So anyway, what I did is I just took a 5-in-1 tool here with the scraper piece, and I got a hammer, and I pounded on the top here, and I was slowly peeling, that paper. And this is probably the main reason I'm doing this, is converting this to a hook and loop. Even before I ever even use it, just because I can't even imagine having to take off this peel and stick paper every single time. If I want to change a grit, that would take forever. So what I did is, I using the hammer, just took off the paper. It was off, and then I left all this resin, like sticky, gooey stuff on here. So then I took the rag, using gloves. I took the rag, I was trying to break down the material on here with the acetone, and so it was still caked on there. So what I would do is I would scrape it. It took quite a while, so I had this dirty rag, and I would occasionally keep adding acetone to it and breaking down the material and just keep scraping it. It took me probably, I'd say, like 10-15 minutes to take off all the stuff. And then what I did is I got a clean rag, and I was able to just take off completely all of the leftover stuff. And then with the razor, if you can listen to it, you can hear if it's hitting anything, and it's pretty darn clean. So now that I have it clean, I'm going to move all this out of the way just so it doesn't hit me as I'm doing this next step. So then you'll see all the pieces. Just make sure you keep all your pieces, the washers, all the stuff that the knobs, all that. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way for now. And also the razor here that I showed as the example, I'm going to move that out of the way. Put that back. Alrighty. So the cool thing about this is it looks like it's going to give me enough room to be able to prop this up here, and it has, I'm just using the base of the sander here. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of pop it up here. Hopefully you have a good camera angle. And this disc right here is 12 inches. Cool thing about it is this paper that I'm going to put on it is 3 inches. So I'm going to use, you could, and I just honestly, the reason I'm going to use this roll instead of, I was going to buy some Velcro backing from a company called Two Sand, and this is the probably the best sandpaper that you can buy. Way heck of a lot cheaper than Home Depot for sure, or anywhere any other store that you go to, and the quality of it is so much better. So let me just I guess it's a that's what I'm talking about, perforated here. So instead of using this, I'll probably keep this and maybe put it on a sanding block, or it's really it looks like it's like 50 grit, but I won't ever even try to kill or stick anything on here other than a hook and loop disc. So these discs are I'll even put this, I guess I got a receipt here. This is from Two Sand. It's just the number 2 sand.com. This right here, I got a 80 grit and then I got a 180 grit. Those are the grits that I really use quite often. I use the 80 grit to remove a lot of material at once, and then I use the 180 grit. So if I'm gonna paint something or stain something, it finalizes. It gives that really nice. This is gonna basically be a something that'll help clean up the end grain, and then also I'm gonna help to break the edge on a lot of boards. But the 80 grit sandpaper, the hook and loop, is I guess it says, it doesn't, I guess the SKU says 12-inch HL like Henry Larry number 80, and then the 180 says 12-inch HL like Henry Larry 180 grit. So 2sand.com is freaking awesome. I use that for I'm not sponsored by them, but I also use that for their for my orbital sander, and then I use it for my drum sander. Here it is right here. So I use it for my drum sander, hook and loop. This is the best sandpaper. I tell you, it doesn't build, and it lasts forever as long as you're cleaning your paper. And I may be able to show an example of that. So anyway, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to break up the disc into 4 sections, because obviously I don't have enough of this roll here to like cover the whole surface at once. So what I'm going to do is just quickly make just reference marks, just so I know that I'm going in the right direction as far as the I don't want to overlap it or anything like that. So right here, I'm just going to get the halfway mark, and then I'll get over here and kind of give myself I'll just give myself reference marks. It doesn't have to be like engineer precise. So I'm just using a little fine tip Sharpie marker. And then I'm just gonna make this is just more for reference for me. So as I'm putting, because you're gonna see this stuff is extremely sticky, and it's it doesn't really leave you a lot of room for error. So I'm just doing a kind of like just some reference marks here, just to. And I could have ordered a a Velcro disc to stick on here, but honestly, this stuff right here, with a drum sander, if any of you own a drum sander, you know that a drum sander, I mean the amount of heat and the amount of wear and tear that goes on that Velcro paper, it's got to be pretty darn awesome. Especially I do a lot of sanding. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of boards every single day. In a week it's thousands. So it's a ton of boards that I run through my drum sander. So anyway, I don't even know if you can see this, but I'm gonna bring it up just a tad bit here. So I got my three lines here. You can probably barely see it. So I have one line right here, one line right here, one line right here. So 3, and I have it separated into 4 different sections. So I'm going to try to get this in a better position so everybody can see it. And my hands may get in the way, but just so you can kind of get the idea of what I'm doing here. Get my scissors. So what the whole point of this is, I'm going to put the sandpaper, or the Velcro strip, on this right here. It's going to overlap, of course. And then luckily I have this this port here where the dust collector goes. And in there, I guess I had the darn knife here. So there, I'm going to actually trim the edge here to where it's a nice circle, whatchamacallit, adhering point, just so it doesn't rub any of the edges and, you know, this paper fall off. So I made sure this is nice and clean. Acetone, I went ahead and after I took off all the residue, I did another, I did a clean rag and I did acetone on it just to get off all the dust and fine particles, so that this paper can stick on there nice and easy. So now what I'm going to do is I have this just taped up here just for storage purposes. So what I'm going to do now is just measure out here how many strips I need of this here. So I'm going to go just a little bit heavy on it, just a little bit long. So I'm going to say 13 inches. So I'm going to do 2 at 13, and then see, obviously I'm not going to go the whole way here. So here I'm going to go just a tad bit heavy too. So I'm going to need 2 at 11. So, and just so you can see, and I don't have to like get off of the camera, I'm just going to do just by eyeball here. I'll just cut a straight strip here. I'll keep that piece that just fell off, but can you see that? All right, perfect. Actually, let me back it up here just a tad bit so you can get the whole gist of it all. I have this on a little table here, and just to keep this even easier for myself, I'm going to give myself a reference here of 13 and then a reference of 11, so I don't have to keep having the tape measure out, and that's just a pain in the butt. So anyway, we're going to get it out here. And I know that, and actually, you know what? I need to make my reference marks over here. So, get all out of these here right here. So I got that, and then, let's see here, 13 and 11. I don't have a microphone set up, so hopefully you can hear me, or you can just see what's going on here. So I've already measured out where the 13 is, which is right here. Doesn't have to be like exact, because you're going to see I'm going to trim the edges anyway. And then I'll do another 13. This stuff is awesome, and I'll put where I found, or where I buy all this stuff from too, on the description. Or you can just message me on, or leave a comment and say, hey, you forgot to put that on, because I'm not a YouTuber, which eventually I will be. Give a lot of good tips to help other people out. So anyway, I'm done with this guy. Let me move the camera over. I'm gonna pop it up here just so you can kind of see me as I do this. So I'm just getting some masking tape here, putting my Velcro roll back. This is awesome. I can't remember what the price was, but it wasn't too expensive. So anyway, I have my 2 strips of 11 and 2 strips of 13. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure, number one, I got it on here correctly. See, now you can see it's overlapping, because I'm just going to trim this off whenever I'm done here in just a moment. So now I have my lines here that I'm going to reference on, and just what you don't want to do also, this is just what I learned from when I do my drum sander, is you don't want to overlap. You want to make sure that they're pretty close together, but it's not overlapping, because it's going to give you a little bump when you put the sandpaper on there. So what we're going to do here is, I got it on here, and you don't want to completely take it off, because I've had it stick onto itself, and that is no fun. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start nice and light. So you're just going to peel this stuff off of here. I have really no nails here. I just cut them a couple days ago, so there we go. So take off that. Taking off quite a bit. So I got about 2 inches or so up here. And I know that I've given myself enough room to overlap, so I'm lining it up to the center line here. So I got nice and slow, and you'll probably hear me get real quiet just because I'm trying to make sure that I put this on here straight. Alright, looks like we're going good here, and I'm on that little line that I had put as a reference. Looks like I'm going pretty good here. So I'm wanting to do is, and you'll see, I'm wanting to kind of like, if you've ever done like vinyl on the Cricut, you kind of want to have the pressure here, and then here in just a moment you can push all that outward to lessen the chance of having a bubble. And the cool thing is, I'm actually, since I did cut it over, I'm gonna stick it just a tad bit onto the body down here, and I'll show you what I mean here. I'm sticking it right here, just so this thing doesn't rotate now, the whole disc. See, now I'm pushing it and it's not rotating, which is nice. So next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a gift card, or you know, the hotel cards or whatever, and just, you know, I use these as glue spreaders, you name it. I need to make a lot more videos on helping people out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a squeegee to move all the instead of using my hand, it gives more of an even pressure. So now you see I'm taking out all the air bubbles. I moved the air bubbles out that way. Gave me an out point. I'm actually going to just lightly stick that here too, because I'm going to cut that off here in just a moment. All you want to do here is make sure that it's on, and I'll show you here in a moment what I use to keep the Velcro like really stuck on. This is just to get the air bubbles out, and it can start me on my next strip here. So kind of like the same way that I just did, I'm going to, number one, I'm going to start on this one. I'm going to start here and push out towards this way, but I just want to make sure that I'm aligned correctly right here on this first strip here. And I'm just taking off the little sticky back here. So I got about, kind of like the last time, just a couple inches here just to get it going. That's why you want to leave it heavy too, just so you have enough room to be able to set this. And then let me go ahead and move it this way. So if you can see, I'm not on the other strip, but I'm super close to it. I'm not trying to create an air bubble here. I'm trying to just set this to where it's properly aligned. And see how I'm just giving the pressure right here on this, not over here just yet. If there is a little slight gap, it's okay. You just don't want to overlap it. That's the only, I guess, thing that you do have to worry about. You don't want to overlap. You just want to make sure that it gets on there. Going nice and slow, and like in anything, especially if you're a woodworker, a welder, anything, you want to make sure that, see how I'm doing the card, I'm not using my hand, because I mean my fingers, you don't want to rub your fingers on this Velcro stuff. It's almost like sandpaper. I would say it's probably like a nylon 80 grit, if you want to call it that. So now what I'm doing is I'm just making sure we're good, we've adhered okay, and I'm even letting it touch the rim here. That's okay, because we're going to cut that off here in just a moment. So what I want to make sure is I'm looking here, there's no air bubbles. The reason I say about air bubbles is what it'll do is when you put your sanding disc on, it'll create a bubble to where whenever you're sanding and you want that piece flush, it'll make it to where it gives an indentation just in that piece, and you'll be able to see it because this thing spins so darn fast. So anyway, we're going to finish up these next sides here, and hopefully I'm still recording. Okay, we're at 18 minutes, and like I don't have really any nails, so you have to bear with me here. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. I sure am. It is June here in Kansas City. I'm hoping that I don't touch it right here. If I do, I'll air bubble it, you know, like kind of how we're doing here. I'll move it all the way out as far as, I just want to make sure that it's on the disc, and then I'll move the air just that way. If it does touch here, I'm going to be trimming that anyway. And so I got a little bit more just so I make sure that I have enough. So what I'm doing is lining it up here, making sure you're not overlapping. Just go slow. There's no reason to be in a hurry about this. So see, I'm aligning, and it's not even touching over here yet. See, I'm just basically just peeling off the paper, making sure that I'm aligned as I'm going down. I'm not overlapping. I guess I could have went down just a tad bit down here, but that's okay. No biggie. And actually, it's sweet. It didn't even touch the edge there. What I thought it was going to touch the cast iron or whatever material that is that they made out of. So now I'm just making sure that it's adhered to the disc. I don't really care about it, you know, touching. Of course, I don't mind if it does, but it's not like a huge thing. And actually, I got a helper that's working with me, so you're going to see him here in just a moment on camera. What's up, Mark?
What's that?
Just making a quick video for YouTube to help some people out with a dust sander.
Very cool.
You may walk in on me making videos sometimes, so just know if I'm talking to myself. Sometimes I do talk to myself, but it's more than likely like, oh yeah, he's probably making a video on YouTube or Facebook Live or something.
Mm-hmm.
But, so now, see what we're doing here is we're just trying to keep this Velcro where I'm setting it in place. Take it slow. You don't have to be in a hurry. And I'm removing the backing on this Velcro paper here. There's a little bit of a gap, but that's okay. It doesn't, as long as it's not overlapping, like I keep mentioning. You just want to make sure that the Velcro paper is you don't have any air bubbles and it's not overlapping. Those are probably the most important things that you can do on here. So I'm using my my multi-purpose gift card, hotel cards, old credit cards. These have a million uses. So don't just keep throwing it away because you could use it for something else. So okay, now we have it on here. I'm going to use a J roller. I actually just bought me another one because I have to use one downstairs, and rather than walking up and down the stairs, I went and bought me a new J roller. And this guy, you can use it for veneers. This one I bought on Amazon, and I'll just show you why I use that. This is why I was able to take out the air bubbles with the gift card. But with the J roller, I'm going to really apply some pressure to make sure that it's adhered all the way around the surface. You don't want to twist. You just want to go up and down. Just be nice and slow, because you don't want this paper that's temporarily sticking to the rim to, you know, you don't want your disc to rotate. So I'm just going to go nice and slow here. Just make sure that I'd rather do this right here all day long than to do the sticky sandpaper that takes forever to take off, which Lord bless you if you like doing that kind of work and changing out the paper like that. God bless you. I know, maybe, I guess it would come in handy with like metal workers, like if you were to sand with a metal worker. But I would still rather change this Velcro every once in a great while than having to change this crappy, you know, peel and stick paper. No, thank you. I'm just going to throw this over there in the box, use it maybe later. So now what we're going to do is we're going to maybe the X-Acto, or you know, this little tiny cutter here will work, but I'm going to try it with the just a regular box cutter here. So I'm going to look to see here, and it sticks pretty darn good, so be real careful here. So I want to make sure I'm in the hole of where the disc is traveling. So I'm going to work clockwise here. So I'm just going to try to keep my blade as close to the rim. If you remember, there's a little bit of a gap here. So I'm going to try to keep my rim, or my blade, as close to that rim as possible. Because I could always come back and trim. I can't add material, I can always trim it. So now, I think I've cut all the way through. I'm going to remove, see, it's not completely stuck on there because I didn't push hard on that. And then the same way down here on the bottom, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to keep the blade close to the rim over there, and then just nice slides down. I'm going to go clockwise again. Just take it off as I go here, just so this sticky, I mean, this stuff is like, I don't know if you've ever had fly traps, like those little hanging fly traps. It's even worse and stickier than those fly traps if you get it on your hands. So right here, obviously, I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, it's probably easier if you go down right here. So I also did change my my box blade here right before I started this, just to make sure. And actually, I guess right here, you'll see it's a little odd, so I'm going to go downward on my cut here. Yeah, I just changed this blade, so this blade is like ultra sharp. It's crazy, so be careful where you're setting it too. You don't want it to land on your toes. So anyway, I'm just peeling off this paper, and see, gosh, it's like, I didn't even really push down hard on that section right there, but it sticks. So now, I'm just gonna try to take off more of this paper here. This is like super sticky stuff. That's why this is number one why I use it. If you've ever used, and I'll show you an example of the actual Velcro that you could buy. You could buy, you know, already a circle pad like that. What you'll find though, the difference between the drum sander Velcro and then the one that's already pre-cut, this is super thin, and then the adhesion or the stickability on it, it just lasts for just a short time. The drum sander Velcro lasts forever. I mean, I'm telling, like, I think the last time that I changed the Velcro on my sandpaper, my drum sander was probably about 3 years ago. So that stuff lasts forever, and I'm talking over multiple sanding sessions. It's crazy. So now what I'm going to do is, if you can kind of see, I wasn't able to get really good down here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim. Now I'm going to get close to the disc here, and we're really going to do like the finish trim to make sure that it's able to move. See, like right now I can hear it. It's kind of touching in certain spots, and you don't want this thing as it's going, you know, around and around in whatever speed that it goes to. Like you can kind of see it's quite a bit here. So what I'm doing here is just keeping close to the and I may need to change my blade. It's all gummy now, so give me just a moment. So anyway, I guess I'll go ahead and finish this video so you guys can get the gist. So we've got I'm going to finish trimming this up with a brand new blade, and then this is what makes it all different. So you put your disc on, or your sandpaper on from now on, and let's say you have, this is 80 grit, you know, you've put all your dust collection cover on, you've put your table on, this thing's ready to roll, it's ready to work. So, and let's say you want to change your sandpaper. If you were doing it the other way, like I had mentioned earlier, sorry, you're seeing my head here. So if you were using this one, you're going to have to unstick this, put that on there, and let's say you want to change the grit, you're going to have to do what I think takes for freaking ever, and take this scraper out, and then, like I was mentioned, you're going to have to use a razor and then just some chemical to remove the residue, and then put a different one on, and then you're going to have to, if you want to change it again, you're going to have to do that step again. Most people probably just leave one grit of sandpaper. So check this out. So now that what we've done is, let's say I have the 80 grit right here, and I want to change the grit. Now, okay, I want 180 grit, I want 50 grit, I want 150 grit, whatever. Boom, we're ready for the next one. I want to change the grit again. Boom, just take. So for me, that time saving is worth probably like 70 of these darn machines, buying them all together, just because, I mean, I'm sure there's people that will probably just buy like 4 disc sanders just so you don't have to keep changing and, you know, removing the sticky material. But hopefully this helps somebody else out there. I'm excited to try this out. I know it's going to work, just because I know that this Velcro is legit and it's awesome. So hopefully you guys have an awesome day. We'll see you guys.